What is going on, YouTube people? Today, a little bit of a market update. Got a few things I want to chat about, and we'll do a quick rundown of where booster boxes and some ETBs have been sitting in the Pokemon space over the last little bit. Off the rip, kind of the biggest talking point, I guess, over the last few days. Shrouded Fable went on a run and a half on Pokemon Center and on TCG Player. A lot of the stock checkers went down when Pokemon Center updated their website about a week ago or so. So we weren't getting that real-time flow of information of how many of this were left and how many of that were left. And all of a sudden the other night, Shrouded Fable ETBs, the elite, the Pokemon Center exclusive ones, were gone. And there was quite a bit on there the last time the stock checker was working. So I think this caught people off guard and surprised them a little bit. And then needless to say, once they sold out on PC, they went crazy on the TCG Player side of the world. You can see here the massive run up where 26 sold in the course of a day or two, which really, let's see here, from mid to late January, they were sitting at about 65, 70 bucks, which was essentially retail price. They are now up to around 80, give or take, maybe even a little bit higher than that if you want to factor in taxes and shipping. But these things have just absolutely gone crazy the last few days. Shrouded Fable has no real big chase, but there are a lot of very solid cards in it, like real like mid-tier stuff. And a lot of people kind of always wondered why it was a little bit slept on. I own none of it. It is the one set that I have nothing from the Scarlet and Violet era. So I am sure I will live to regret that. And no one can complain. You know, you can't complain about this one. You had plenty of time to buy into Shrouded Fable if you wanted it. It was out there and readily available forever. So can't complain about this one. It's your own fault if you missed it. Let's look at some booster box prices. Let's start with Sword and Shield era first. We are over here in Market Movers. I get questions about this all the time. Link is in the description of the video down below if you want to check it out. Looking at Sword and Shield era, starting at most expensive and then scrolling on down. I'm looking at 30-day windows here. And Market Movers does pull transactions from eBay and a bunch of other marketplaces. It does not do TCG Player. But generally speaking, those markets all run in relative sync to one another. And I like the presentation of this a lot better, the way it lays everything out. Evolving Skies seeing slight pullback. Chilling Reign seeing slight pullback. Those were the two notable ones in the going down category. The most notable in the going up category is Sword and Shield base saw a pretty big jump up over the last week or two. If you're looking at it over a 30-day period, it's up 56%. Those boxes are now all the way up to almost $400 on a Sword and Shield base, and that kind of came out of nowhere once again. We keep seeing these kind of like, looks like coordinated buyouts of certain products and on the singles side as well, where these things are just really spiking up that don't have a lot of inventory on the market as someone kind of swoops in and reestablishes a new high. I wouldn't be surprised if it pulls back a little bit as more inventory will come to market. Now that the prices jumped way up, we see this all the time. That's part of what we've been seeing with Lost Origins and Chilling Reign. It got huge run up. Same with Fusion Strike, and we've seen slight pullbacks across the board since those all-time highs. Silver Tempest is showing a little bit of a bump up here as well. But generally speaking, Sword and Shield era seems like it has settled in to its current prices outside of, you know, things like this, or maybe there's a little bit of shenanigans going on, but Sword and Shield got way overheated. It deserves a little cooling off period. Before we switch over fully to Scarlet and Violet, let's take a look at some specialty sets, specifically Pokemon Center ETBs and regular ETBs. We're looking at 151 Prismatic, Paldean Fates, and Crown Zenith, since we already talked about Shrouded. The center specific trainer boxes are seeing pretty strong growth over the last 30 days. Not super surprising. 151 is up almost 20%. So is Prismatic. The Prismatic one makes me a little nervous because I do still expect Pokemon Center to drop additional stock of that on the market at some point in time. And that could undercut that a little bit. I think we're playing with really limited supply on that one. Could be wrong, but we'll see. Paldean Fates up almost 30%. And then Crown Zenith has been basically flat at around the 175 number. That saw tremendous growth just prior to this. And the one thing to keep in mind with Crown Zenith is that there is not a stamped promo in that one, but the box does look different. It is a specially designed box, and I believe it has an extra pack in it. And you can see the difference. I put both the regular ETBs and the Pokemon Center ETBs on here, and you can really see how much extra growth some of the PC ETBs have. On 151, you know, the PC ones are up almost 20%. The regular ones are only up about 14%. On Prismatic, those are up 20%, while actual ETBs are down 15% as a bunch of supply still comes to market. So definitely a little all over the place on there. Paldean Fates up 30% on the PC ETBs and basically flat on the regular ETBs. Crown Zenith is up a little bit more on the regular Elite Trainer boxes, but once again, a little bit of an asterisk on that one because the PC ETB does not have the stamped promo in it. So even the ETBs that are performing pretty decently, like 151, the Pokemon Center ones are drastically outperforming them pretty much across the board from the Scarlet and Violet era. That's not exactly breaking news to anybody that's been following this for a while, but it's interesting to see that continuing as we move past the big hype period that we had, right around Christmas time leading into the beginning of the year. Looking over at Scarlet and Violet's era compared to Sword and Shield has seen more gains over the last 30 days. Just a quick scroll through here. What do you notice? Way more green than red. There's only one in the red, and it's Paldea Evolved, and it's basically flat at down 3%. They have basically been stuck at around $200 a box. Surging Sparks is creeping back up towards 250, but we got a reprint coming on that supposedly any day now. So kind of keep that in mind. I expect those boxes to come down a little bit. I know they were sitting on Walmart about a week ago for $200 for multiple days. So I think you're going to be able to get back in the Surging Sparks cheaper if you've been patient. I don't know that you're going to be able to get MSRP, but I think you'll be able to get in a lot cheaper than $250 per box. Twilight Masquerade has been one of the bigger movers, up 20%. Obsidian Flames still sitting in that basically full MSRP mode of 165. Same with Temporal, same with Stellar Crowns, same with Rift, and same with, it's not on here, I forgot to add it, but Scarlet and Violet base are also sitting all right around that 150 to 165 mark, and just have not been able to burst through to the degrees that we've seen on some of the other stuff, which, to be honest, is normal for where it's at in the product life cycle of things. These are boxes that are still at risk to be reprinted, really shouldn't be running super, super crazy. Sparks is obviously a little bit of an outlier case. And then, we'll have Journey Together in about another month and see what ends up happening with that. Right now, that is still currently sitting at pre-order at $200 a box. I discussed that at length in a video the other day. $200 a box scares me on that set. It just does. I feel strongly about that, and I'm not paying those prices now. I was lucky enough to get in a little bit cheaper than that, and I feel okay paying around $120 a box. There's some downside risk there, but nowhere near as much as paying $200 a box. Maybe I'll be wrong. Wouldn't be the first time, won't be the last time. We'll see what ends up happening with that. But Sword and Shield, I think my general overall takeaway is looking at this. Pokemon Center ETBs for Scarlet and Violet era and up are elite. Sword and Shield booster boxes seem to be settling back down a little bit. They're kind of retracing ever so slightly because they got a little overheated. And Scarlet and Violet is still slowly creeping up as it is in rotation sets. But you got to put a little bit more warning sign on that one because there is the shot for reprints on Scarlet and Violet potentially. which could cause some more wild swings in prices. But that's quick little overall chit chat about where we kind of currently sit in the state of things. I like doing these about every week or so. Just kind of checking in at the overall level and seeing what's been moving, what's been shaking, and what's been popping off or going down. Really, you shouldn't see, honestly, in the sealed market like this, it's not like individual cards where you should see stuff pop off super crazy all the time. But we're still in this weird stage where everything is, you still got the buyouts going on and other weird stuff going on. The market is still super hot, so I think it's worth looking at in these a little bit smaller time frames, but it's a dangerous way to live in the sealed game. It should be stash it and forget it, not stash it and check it every day. So, as always, curious for your thoughts and comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We will catch you boys and girls on the next one. Peace.